Hey guys, what's happening? Stephen Howe here. I hope you're doing incredible. I'm coming to you from my home office, and today we are going to talk about how one of my real estate investing students just made $5,000 for outsourcing one of his unwanted real estate leads. So if you are getting involved into real estate investing, if you're a real estate agent, a real estate wholesaler, in any aspect of real estate, you're going to get a lot out of this video. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, definitely make sure to do that now, as we're coming out with daily videos around various topics regarding real estate, entrepreneurship, marketing, and to help build your business. So I have a ton of fun doing these. And I want to hear from you in the comments. I want to keep shaping these videos around what you want to learn. So make sure if the video resonates with you to leave a like and a comment below. I want these to be very engaging and for these to get some traction. So no crazy fancy graphics or editing or anything like that. I like to just be real, sit down, talk with you here and share some wisdom. So anyways, and speaking of that, like I said, I'm in my home office. I have the lighting in the background on there. It's a rainy day out. I live here in Ohio, and I want to make sure the lighting's okay for you. So hopefully that's not too terribly distracting. And then over here, I got the webinar lighting coming in. So the face is all lit up today. But anyways, guys, I want to share with you a story about how one of my students just over Christmas made $5,000 for outsourcing a lead that he wasn't working. And there's going to be some very tangible ways, and I want to share with you some ways and some examples of how you can implement this in your business, because the cool part, it really doesn't take any extra effort or any extra work, and there's a lot of money that you could be leaving potentially on the table if you're not doing this. The other awesome benefit of learning how to outsource your leads correctly, the unwanted leads, the leads that are not our specialty, is that it takes the pressure off from trying to be a master of everything, a jack of all trades. So something I want you guys to write down, this is my golden nugget tip of the day for you. It is so much better to be a master of one or two things instead of a jack of all trades, right? If you're going out there in your real estate investing business and you're trying to be the foreclosure expert, the SEO expert, the lease options, the short sale, the wholesaling expert, all these different types, the Facebook expert, the Google AdWords expert, the bandit sign expert. If you're trying to do all these things and be like the master of everything, what you're going to find, what I found, is that it gets very, very overwhelming. And the tendency, at least for myself, I know, was to focus really hard with all of my heart, with all of my soul on, one thing for a little while. And then after a couple weeks of that, maybe working a little bit or not, working to the extent that I thought it would, well, then I'd listen to a podcast or listen to something different, and I'd hop to a new strategy, maybe postcards or something else, right? And the vicious cycle just continues and continues. So before I go down too big of a tangent here, I just want to say that it's so much better to be a master of just a couple of things rather than a jack of all trades. And that fits very nicely into this. So when you're doing a lot of marketing in your real estate investing business, which, my friend, you better be doing a lot of marketing. If you want results, if you want to be doing deals, it all comes down to marketing. People in your area and your market need to know that you and your business exist. And just very briefly, they need to know how you can help them. You need to learn how to paint that picture for them, not in an intense, aggressive way or anything like that, but just a couple of benefits that's going to help them, that's going to educate them, that's going to help them solve their problems. So when you're doing that right, and when you're doing a lot of very simple marketing and your blinders are on and you're just doing a couple of things right in your business, you're going to get a lot of leads coming in. Now, in real estate investing, right, when we're talking about wholesaling real estate, let's just use that as an example. 80 to 90% of the leads that are coming in are not going to be the perfect deal for you, right? It's not going to always, there's not always going to be somebody who wants to sell their property for 50% of market value. And in fact, that's a lot, that's, from students and subscribers, that's a question that I get a lot of is like, well, Stephen, I'm starting to do a lot of marketing now, I'm getting leads, but everyone wants full price and everyone wants retail, or, maybe they don't have enough equity. And, we can talk about some of those subjects in later videos. So if those are areas or things that you're noticing in your business and you keep getting calls with people who want retail pricing and you're like, how does this wholesaling thing work? I thought I was supposed to get discounted properties. Where are those discounted properties? Definitely let me know in the comments. We can do some videos and do like a series on that, or at least a few videos, and clear that up for you. Anyways, suffice to say, when you're doing a lot of marketing, the leads are coming in. Not all of the leads are going to want to sell right now. Not all of them are going to want to be so motivated to sell for a discounted price. And maybe some of them are motivated a little bit later, a couple months down the line, a couple weeks down the line. And then maybe there's some type of properties as well that you don't necessarily specialize in. So what most newbie or intermediate investors will do, and I am guilty of this mistake. I am nobody special here. I made this mistake for a long time. And I want to help you watching this video, my friend, not make this same mistake, okay? And that is, for some of the leads that you don't necessarily, there's two mistakes actually, before I forget, that you could make. Number one is not utilizing all the leads that are coming into your business. And number two is trying to be the jack of all trades. You're the foreclosure specialist. You're the mobile home specialist. You're the apartment specialist. You're the commercial real estate investor. You are, all these different, type of leads that could be coming in your business. You go out there, you're the lease option person. You're the subject to person. You're the short sale person. You're the REO person. You're the everything. But with all due respect, you haven't done your first deal, and the confusion and the overwhelm, and you're buying courses on all these different subjects and going to seminars, and it gets very overwhelming, right? And how do I know this? Because I've been there, and I work with people every day who've been there. So what is the solution that we can help with this, right? What's the solution so that we can monetize on it and still serve people in a better way? Well, the solution is to outsource the leads that are not our specialty. So let me give you an example to kind of help this make more sense. So one of my students is out in Delaware. He's crushing it. His name's Brandon. He's been working with me for a little while now, and we've done 4 deals together. And again, he focuses on wholesaling real estate. Again, eventually he wants to get into rehabbing and owning rentals and things like that. And the beautiful part, through wholesaling, he has developed some great connections with a partner now who funds some of his marketing, who gives him like $1,000 a month for marketing. He also has met somebody who does a ton of rental properties and who also rehabs properties. And so later this year in 2018, they're going to start going in on some rehabs and stuff like that together. But he has really kind of latched onto the training and what I'm talking about in these videos. And we go after large spread deals in nicer areas. And he focuses on a couple of things for marketing. Very simplistic, basic marketing that, if I told you his lead source, you'd be like, oh my gosh, does that still work, really? And that's how he's gotten all of his deals, right? So anyways, we've done 2 $15,000 deals together and 2 $10,000 deals together. And over Christmas of 2017, it's January 11th, 2018 at the time of this video. And so basically, my wife and I, to kind of set the scene here, we had our first child, our baby girl, Sophia, who is just incredible, the light of my world right now. She's amazing. We had her at the end of November, and so for the first couple of weeks of December, I had, obviously taken a couple of weeks off, and I work from home. I have my own, real estate investing business, and I work with people, and so a lot of times I'll work out of my home office here or out of the local coffee shop for a few hours a day. And I even dialed that back for a lot of December, and then as the end of December approached, I started getting back to things, and obviously making these videos and investing still and all of that. But anyways, my student Brandon, he gets a lead, and this is actually, believe it or not, his girlfriend from high school. So years back, his girlfriend from high school's grandmother knows that he's a real estate investor, because Brandon is the master of putting out things on Craigslist. He's just a good people person. He networks. He tells people, very simplistic, what he's doing, what, he's looking for property. Do you know of anybody? Constantly talking with people, not in some flamboyant, crazy way, but just planting little seeds wherever he goes, And so the word had got around that he's a real estate investor, and so his ex-girlfriend's grandmother's house was a property that they needed to, for some reason, get rid of. They were ready to move on with it, and so he reached out and he's like, Stephen, we looked at the numbers together, and long story short, this property did not have the best sold comparables. It was an older home. It wasn't in the best area, and for wholesaling purposes, again, one of the mistakes I made is I tried to make everything a deal, when in reality, one of the disciplines, and this is another golden nugget, is to be able to learn to filter through your leads quickly, to plant seeds, to be respectful, but also to know that most of them are not what we're looking for. And, in fact, there's a large percentage of them who are better suited to actually go listed on the MLS because they're looking for full price. And then if something is, let's say very rural or different other categories, it might not be the best wholesaling lead, right? So he knew after our working relationship, and after we've analyzed lead after lead after lead together, because that's what I do with my mentoring students, he realized, like, oh my goodness, Stephen, this is probably not what we're looking for, man. Doesn't have the best comps, not the greatest home, not in the greatest area. I don't want to insult them because I know their family. Like, I don't want to just lowball them. I don't really want to get this under contract and just like hope that I can find a buyer on the back end. And my friend, that's another lesson. There's so many people that teach wholesaling real estate out there, and there's a right way to do things and the wrong way. And you don't just want to go suckering, people under contract and getting anything under contract. When you do it the way I teach, you really want to get things under contract that is going to sell. Like, you're going to be able to bring a buyer in on the back end, okay? So for this one, he did not have that confidence. So therefore, he did the very wise thing, the thing with integrity that says, I don't want to get this under contract because I don't know if I can sell it. So what he did is he started reaching out to some of the buyers that over the last year that he's built relationships with. And so there's actually a new buyer named Josh that they had connected somehow. I think it was over Craigslist or something like that. And so they went out and saw the property together. And Josh had told him, well, I'll pay a certain price for this property. I'd pay something like this. And so Brandon, negotiated with the family for a price $5,000 cheaper. And what he could have done, what in fact he probably should have done, is still get the property under contract at that point, since he did have a buyer. But what he did is, Brandon's kind of like myself, just the handshake type of guy, right? Sometimes there's so many, people that are so worried about being screwed over, so worried about people taking advantage of them, so worried about the scarcity mindset. And that's something that I used to think and all that, but after years and years of doing business, I do not think that way anymore whatsoever. And so Brandon was just like, hey man, like, he developed a relationship with this new buyer and different things they can do in the future, and was just like, man, I'll let you close on this deal, but I'm telling you, I introduced you to the family, like, I took you out here, you want to buy it, cut me a check at closing, $5K. And so that just happened, and Brandon just sent me a text saying, hey, Stephen, I just got $5,000 for that lead that I was not going to do anything with. And he was also super pumped up because I've been telling him this for months and months and months, and he's finally starting to implement it in his business. And that's, so for example, for real estate wholesaling, there's a few, in his area in Delaware, we're focusing in on single family homes with a certain price range. So mobile homes, townhomes, apartments, some other different categories. And for example, for foreclosures, for short sales, for REOs, rather than you going to figure out how to talk with the banks and become a short sale expert, or to do REOs or something like that, right? Why not? And this is what I was telling Brandon. Why not find the best person in your area who does specialize in those type of things, and refer them a lead and get paid $3,000, $5,000. And it's all about structuring it the right way, of course. But again, you don't have to have fancy contracts. A lot of it is the way you approach somebody, that likability, that confidence. and it's not overly difficult. Sometimes, people try to make you think it's more difficult than it is. But anyways, Brandon reached back out to me. He's like, Steven, I'm so pumped, man. Now I have somebody. I've been talking with people. I have a guy that like all he does is buy townhomes. And then I have another guy that all he does is buy mobile homes. So now when Brandon is marketing his business in Delaware like crazy, instead of just kind of ditching those leads of like, oh, we don't do mobile homes, oh, we don't do townhomes, now he can talk with these two other buyers that buy only those things. And let's just say one guy's name is Mike and the other guy, his name is Dave, right? So he can approach him and say, Mike, so I do a lot of marketing in my area, and I'm good at what I'm good at, right? But I realize that there's a lot of leads that maybe it's not my specialty or that I can't serve. I understand that you, Mike, or you, Dave, do mobile homes or townhomes or short sales, right? So what would be a smoking hot lead? Basically, I want to give you a lot of business. What's a hot lead? What's the best way to get you this information? I certainly don't want to waste my time. I'm very busy. I have a lot of things going on as well. But what's the best way for me to send you over some of that information, right? I want to get a good working relationship going on right here. Let's go out to lunch. Let's make some things happen and help each other this year. So what if you approach somebody like that, for example, the short sale leads that you got in your business, or the REO leads, or the mobile homes, or the townhomes, or another specialty, maybe that's not your specialty. And every single time that they buy those type of properties, you're getting paid $3,000, $5,000. Most people think, well, I'd be happy with $200. No, if you're serving them up a deal on a silver platter and you structure it properly, that's what I make. That's what my students make when they refer leads out. I have another student in Charlotte who's doing the same thing. He's networked with some attorneys for different leads that we get, and one of the attorneys was like, hey, you don't want that? You don't want that property, Shane? Well, dude, I'll buy it. I do short sales. I'll buy it, and just let me cut you a check for $5,000 on the side. So my friend, I hope that is good news, right? If that just kind of blew your mind, and maybe this is something that you've heard about before. Not a lot of people talk a lot about this. This is kind of like an under the radar, kind of a ninja strategy that, if you think about it, it's no extra work. Maybe just a little tiny bit of extra work, but seriously, if you're already doing things right, if you're already marketing, you're already generating a lot of leads, and when you become a rock star, which I know you will be, especially if you keep watching these videos, and you're already generating a lot of leads, and these are leads you weren't going to do anything with anyways, and then you just start asking around, and you start Googling your city, your market, and short sales, or townhomes, or you go to the local investment, the local investment or the meetup.com, like a real estate meetup group in your area, and you start asking around, hey, who buys really cheap houses in the ghetto? Who, maybe there's really low end house. There's a guy or a gal in your area who buys properties that are really, really rough for $10,000. And a lot of investors don't touch properties in that part of town, but this guy, that's his area and he specializes, or somebody for townhomes or mobile homes. Start asking around. So when I say, yeah, maybe it takes a little bit of work, it's just asking around, but that's nothing, right? And then when these leads come across your desk, you took the time to ask Mike or Dave, how would they want the lead? What information is helpful to them? And if you think about it, now Mike or Dave, they love you because you're serving them up deals on a silver platter and they're making money. So you're helping them with their marketing because you're serving them a silver platter. You're serving them a lead on a silver platter. You're developing more of a relationship. You're giving value instead of taking, right? It's a powerful, powerful concept. Doesn't take a lot of extra work. I just gave you an example of how one of my students made $5,000 for really just outsourcing a lead that he was not doing anything with. And I want to wrap this up. I don't want to keep rambling on and on, but if you liked this video, if you want to learn more topics like this, if you want to learn anything about entrepreneurship, real estate investing, wholesaling, I am so excited to keep making these videos. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell, for crying out loud, so you can get notified when a new video is out. It's my best intention to do these Monday through Friday, if not daily. Here soon, I have a strong inclination that I'm just going to be doing these videos daily. I want to hear from you. I want to know what topics you want to learn about. And that's all for this video, guys. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.